Hi and welcome. My name is Tiffany Oscar, and I'm a program manager at the Washington Home, a charitable foundation located in Washington, D.C. At the Washington Home, we seek to improve the lives of the elderly and the critically ill. And today, I'm going to talk about a topic that is very near and dear to the livelihood of our elderly population, and that is the stages of caregiving. The Caregiving Years, Six Stages to a Meaningful Experience, was created by Denise Brown. And in this particular model, it breaks down caregiving into six distinct stages and identifies the specific tasks for the care recipient and the caregiver at each stage. The first stage is called the expectant caregiver. And in this stage, as a caregiver, you start to notice that your loved one or care recipient has experienced some type of cognitive or physical decline. And what that means is you notice that mentally they're not as sharp as they used to be, or physically they need a little bit more help, maybe doing tasks around the house or running errands. So, as a future caregiver or the expectant caregiver, your role is to help your care recipient get their affairs in order. And in particular, we're talking about two documents, that is the medical power of attorney and the financial power of attorney. Now, the medical power of attorney is a legal document that you can get completed through an attorney or your primary care physician. And in this particular document, it allows your care recipient to identify the person who will be responsible for making medical decisions on their behalf in the event that they become incapacitated. The financial power of attorney is very similar. It's a legal document, and it can be completed through an attorney as well. And this document allows your care recipient to select the person who will be managing their finances and financial responsibilities. So you're talking about having access to their bank accounts, all the way to paying bills like the mortgage. The second thing that you want to start to do for the care recipient is gather any medical paperwork. Now, typically, the older we get, the more medical providers we start to see. And so you may notice that your particular loved one has three or four or more medical providers. So now is the time for you to start to gather all of the paperwork and start to identify who is actually providing care. Now, as a caregiver, this is also a time for you to start to get yourself organized because you still have your own personal life and everything that's going on and you need to do for yourself. But now you're going to start to add in responsibilities for your loved one. So now is the perfect time for you to start to organize yourself. The second thing is you want to start to learn about any resources that are in the community that your loved one may be eligible for or may need. So, in particular, one very common resource is home health care. And this is a service that would allow you to receive help from a professional to come in and assist you with providing care to your loved one. This service is not free. So typically, you can either pay for this service if you're eligible or if your loved one is eligible through Medicaid, or if they're not eligible for Medicaid, you would have to pay out of pocket. Other resources can include medical equipment and different associations or nonprofits in your area. The third thing is you want to start to build your support network. You'll notice that sometimes there's a lot of different associations, maybe an Alzheimer's association, or different associations connected to different illnesses or diseases. Now's the time for you to start to research and make your connections with these organizations. The benefit of finding either organizations or different groups in the community is that they're filled with people who've already gone through the stuff that you're experiencing. And so they can help guide and navigate you and also be an emotional support to you as you enter in this journey. The fourth thing that you want to do is just create a self-care routine. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but quite often caregivers are so used to providing care for their loved one that they forget themselves. And so you want to start to think about what is it that you will need to help yourself stay grounded and to be balanced throughout this entire journey, because there are a lot of ups and downs in the road ahead. Now, the second step is the freshman caregiver. And in this particular stage, you're starting to provide more care for your loved one. And so, what you would want to do for your loved one or care recipient is you want to make sure you're involving your family early on. So, you want to start to have those family meetings where you're talking about the needs of your loved one and who can help provide the care, or just to update them on what's happening. This is also now when you're starting to learn more about the particular illness or disease that your loved one is dealing with. So you're attending more doctor's appointments, you're probably researching things online. And then you're also learning about providing the proper care. So as your loved one is aging or the illness is progressing, they may start to experience more physical or cognitive decline. So now you're helping transfer them from the bed to a wheelchair, or you're preparing meals or doing light housework around the home. And the fourth thing is you definitely want to make sure you are starting to familiarize yourself with the resources that your loved one will need, especially if you didn't get a chance to do that before. So now's the time for you to start thinking about, okay, what are the home health agencies in my area? Is my loved one eligible for Medicaid, or is this something that we as a family are going to have to pay for out of pocket? Now, for yourself, now is the time for you to start to use your support network, and that can include your family, your friends, your neighbors, or people that you meet through the professional associations or online communities. You also want to make sure that you're regularly practicing your self care, whether it's exercising on a daily basis, doing meditation, or just going for walks around the neighborhood. And then thirdly, you want to start to hire out for any services that you are not able to do on your own. So when you think about caregiving at this stage, the responsibilities are increasing, and you may notice that you don't have as much time to do the housework. So if you can afford to, or if there's a service available in your area, now's the time to reach out and start to incorporate that into your support network. Moving to the third stage, the entrenched caregiver, this is where you are actively involved in caregiving. You are caregiving 24/7, in addition to, whatever you have going on in your personal life. Now, for the care recipient or your loved one, you are actively managing their medical care and any daily routines that they have. You are the main point of contact here. You also are increasing the amount of care that you're doing. So now you may be bathing, feeding, lifting. You are doing more of the actual care on a day to day basis. So if you have not done so already, at this stage, you are definitely going to need resources, and that includes home health services, and as well as basic need resources such as food or home delivered meals, assistance with electricity, or a variety of things. As a caregiver in this particular stage, you've been doing this for a while and you have seen a lot. You've probably helped your loved one when they were hospitalized, through rehab. You've just seen a lot. And so at this stage, you also start to become overwhelmed. And you may even start to feel resentment or anger towards family members who are not stepping up. Or if you have no one, you may be upset that it's just you and you're by yourself doing this. And so again, if you have the means or the resources, now is definitely the time where you want to make sure you're allowing others to help you. The fourth stage is the pragmatic caregiver. And this is where you're still helping, and you've been through a lot, but now you're kind of over the hump and you are starting to see things a little bit differently. So here you have realized, you've accepted if you don't have any help that this is kind of, the situation that you're in. And, if your family members have not been able to step up, you are at a point where you're just ready to forgive and move past the anger and the resentment that you feel. Or if, caregiving has just completely taken over your life and this is all you do and you can't do anything else, you're starting to kind of make peace with your new life or the new normal for you. This is also where you'll get a greater understanding of who you are and what you need at this particular stage in your life. Now, for your care recipient or your loved one, you have a better understanding of who they are and what they need. Maybe you know how to prevent bad days from happening, or you know how to help them if they're having a difficult time. You're more able to predict their responses to different situations, and you're able to enjoy each day with them a little bit better. Moving on to the fifth stage is the transitioning caregiver. And in this stage, your role is definitely changing. This stage is more about being present. Now, for you as a caregiver, you start to notice that your loved one is transitioning, and they're transitioning from this life onto, whatever comes next for them. And at this stage, you want to make sure you're allowing them and you're allowing yourself to experience the end. You're transitioning from doing everything and needing to do everything to just being present in their lives. And the reason why this is happening is because your loved one may be at a point where they're sleeping more, they're not eating as much, they don't want to do as much as they used to do. And so now you have a lot of time where you're required to just be present and not do so much. This is also a time where the primary care physician may decide that your loved one is eligible for hospice. And I know this can also be even more difficult when you hear the word hospice because it kind of signals the end of this particular stage for your loved one. Uh, but it's important to know that hospice is a good resource that can help you and your loved one at this particular stage. The reason is because if you select hospice, you're given a team, and on this particular team, you have a nurse who will be able to help you at least on a weekly basis to provide medical care and to assist with symptom management. You also have a social worker to help you identify resources that you may need, and in particular, to help you with end of life planning. And that would include making final arrangements, as well as completing the medical power of attorney if you didn't do that before. You will also have a chaplain to help you and your loved one manage any spiritual needs that may arise, as well as a home health aide to help out as well. The last stage is the Godspeed caregiver. And in this particular stage, your loved one has passed on and it's just you. This can be a very difficult stage because you may have spent decades caring for someone, and this has been your identity. This is who you are. And you no longer know, anything beyond caregiving. And so it's very difficult for caregivers to transition after their loved one has passed on because now they don't providing care isn't something that they have to do 24/7. Now they just have time for themselves. And when you have been providing care for someone for multiple years, 24 hours, 7 days a week, is very difficult to then just switch the next day and focus all of that on you. So now's the time for you to start to think about, well, what's next for you? What are the things that you want to do with your life? And what are the things that, you were not able to do before that you now are able to do? So, overall, the caregiving experience again, it's one that's filled with many ups and downs, but it's also a beautiful journey for many people. And so this particular presentation is just meant to give you an overview of what you can expect as a caregiver, and hopefully help you to start to plan for caregiving. Again, my name is Tiffany Oscar, and I'm a program manager with the Washington Home. If you have any questions about this particular presentation, you can email me at toscar@thewashingtonhome.com. Thank you.